2,000 years later.
Kill me! Or give me shopping list at least! After an impressive launch of Powerplay 2.0, Elite Dangerous was riding a wave of positivity not seen since the before of Odyssey launch. It was time for some new content, and I'm not talking about the bullshit ship releases. The Trailblazers update, introducing player-directed system and planet colonization. Ability to claim the system as your own, build out a small or large starports, rename them thanks to RNGs, or whatever way you want, thanks to money. And dress them up, for money. And most importantly, earn passive income each week thanks to these buildings. As a result, player numbers kept on rising even further, and this really looked like Elite Dangerous, like the bride, has finally climbed out of the grave that Odyssey left it in. Yeah, just like most other things that Frontier makes, well, things weren't all that good either. So let's take a look at the colonization in earnest. Alright then, let's start with the basics. What is this monster and why does it siphon all my free time? We start off with the 25 million credits, the price of one of the Alliance doofus ships, to claim the system as our designated construction site. Then we hop to our nearby depot store to pick up a few illegals on the cheap, and off to the races we go. Now, you can build out pretty much any unclaimed system within 15 light years from the nearest civilized space with a colonization officer on site, and like cockroaches after a nuclear blast, they started popping up everywhere, so finding one shouldn't be a problem. After paying the entry fee, you can go and deploy a beacon. A few minutes later, a fleet carrier drops in and you can start planning your first build order. Basically, you can build pretty much any type or style station and building in the game. The only restriction really is that they're all templated, so you can't pick and choose what props to place where. Now, each building has its own economical specs of what it produces and what it requires for operation, making it a cool economical simulator balance act. But beyond just choosing buildings and their stats, unlike the fleet carrier, you can't adjust what tax or markup on the items they sell, or what is being sold in the first place. But if you do a good enough job with the colony, you might get a discount on modules and ships. However, there is no limit on how many systems you can colonize. The only limit is how many buildings you can cram inside the single system, depending on the planets and the moon. Also, at the end of the week, depending on how much you built, you may get a paycheck on profits they've earned. Well, sort of. So now with all that out of the way, let's proceed to the positives. Number 1, obviously, is the sheer fact that you can finally claim a system as your own and build it out however you want. Now, explorers already have been hard at work at putting their names on being the first to discover a system, first to scan a planet, hell, even the first one to do the Armstrong moment. So, colonization adds more fun to the carving out that little corner of the galaxy and calling it as your own. Then there's number 2 with a no building capacity. You're not restricted to how many systems you can claim and colonize. This also does raise a few problems, but generally the positives outweigh the negatives. The number 3 is a low price of entry. I mean, 25 million credits is a decent chunk of mid-game change, but for a mid-game feature, this ends up being a fantastic price to entry point. Unlike the fat fucking cow fleet carrier, and we'll return to this in a bit, don't worry. Number 4, the human bubble finally is expanding, and rapidly.
So the idea with Elite Dangerous is the galaxy will gradually change over time. Imagine a super rich colony, trade is booming, they decide to build a space station, so orders go out for parts and things like that. You see the space station as a skeleton initially going around, sort of scaffolding going around the planet. You see it get more filled in, and eventually with time you see they start fitting it out, so orders for the kit that goes inside it goes out. So at some point this space station will be complete, and all various surrounding dignitaries from the surrounding area will want to be brought in. So those are all be mission contracts.
No longer game environment is shackled to developers manually setting up community goals or magically materializing starports, so the human space is truly becoming unshackled to expand. Number 5, you earn credits while building. Again, unlike fleet carriers, there is no extra cost, only profits. Now, you'd think that building a starport you'd need to spend money buying resources, but no, upon delivery you get a small profit back, like normal trading. So you build your starport and get a little bit of profit back while doing so. It's all rewards. Again, unlike the fucking fleet carriers. Number 6, with new stations popping up with their own commodity supplies and demands, you got the chance to create your own, like say for example colonizing a system with good mining rings. Number 7, renaming. Come on, you perverted, sick and terminally online assholes. How many of you already have named at least one of your stations after a penis. Don't lie, I know you wanted it and you did it. And yes, this is a positive, by the way. Number 8, the passive income. Now, this for me is possibly the biggest positive out of all the rewards and mechanics of colonization. Again, in stark, hell, complete opposite contrast to the fucking fleet carriers that each month eat some of your money in upkeep, and if you stop paying for months or years accumulating too big of a debt, your big-ass toy will be taken away. Colonization, on the other hand, not only will remain no matter how badly you screw up or what you build, but after months of not playing, upon returning to the game, you'll see fat stack of credits just waiting in your inbox. Rather than mentally manipulating you with the shitty ticking clock that is the fleet carrier upkeep so that you keep on playing the game, Colonization does the opposite and offers rewards when you come back. This one little change from punishment to reward completely changes how you feel about the game mechanics. This also was the same problem with the original power play and why no one played it back in the day. No one likes a punishment mechanic. Finally, number 9, no more arbitrary weekly server maintenance updates. See, back in the day when developers wanted to introduce a new system or a starport or whatever, all of this was done during the maintenance update for whatever annoying reason. So it's very refreshing to see that once you achieve something with colonization, it just happens more or less right away. Well, okay, well, mostly. If you finish building a starport, the game will still need to wait for the weekly maintenance update to swap the models. So an overall colonization mechanic, a feature that was part of Odyssey, but got cut due to, assuming, unreasonable release deadlines that Frontier forced upon their staff. This is also why Odyssey, even to this day, does not perform according to their own expected metrics. But that's a different story. We definitely would have gotten better performance, we could have maybe even seen console release, hence more profit for the company, and I suspect colonization also would have been part of that release. But no, management were fucking idiots. If nothing else, Powerplay and colonization updates are a proof that people are willing to wait for something good. But nope, in 2021, because of the end of the fiscal year, Frontier decides to short out Odyssey in abysmal state and proceeds to shit the bed with such ferocity it would make Ubisoft blush. But anyways, I'm beating a dead horse already, so back to the topic. Colonization by itself sounds like a really cool feature, but it's not without its negatives. You want to build a station? Have unlimited systems and chances to colonize? Well, it'd be a shame if there'd be a colossal third fly in the ointment. Introducing the 15 light year limit, meaning that you can colonize a system within 15 light years from the closest colony manager. What this does is an unintended and sad state of galactic pollution. Basically, because of this limit, if you want to colonize a, say, cool system somewhere, you first have to build the world's shittiest chain of abandoned starports just to reach it. And yeah, it kinda ruins the feel of that game when you see countless garbage systems everywhere. Additionally, the 15 light year limit means that you basically can't colonize the outer rim of the galaxy, since most of the stars out there are further apart than 15 light years. Number 2. Now it's cool that you can rename your stations, just like your ships or the fat fucking parasites known as fleet carriers. But there's a flip side. Y'all bunch of degenerates! Phallus Station, Schlongport, your mama, Jeff, gonorrhea, genocide, the Third Reich. Yep, all of these names you can use, and some already have. Well, personally, I find it incredibly funny. Some uptight space dads, probably the same miserable forum white knights, have raised concerns already about the stations spouting incredibly stupid names. However, unlike ships and fleet carriers, station names are not being censored, so whatever goes through the filter is accepted. Still, this willy-nilly approach to naming is a fair concern. The tone of the game is being eroded, even if a little. Now, while my personal approach to this issue is one of acceptance, after all, this naming bullshittery is simply a reflection of ourselves, there's also a lot bigger problem of moderation, or rather the lack thereof. Asshole. Ah! I'm doing it! I'm fucking doing it! Okay. Yes! Yes! This is perfect. Oh, no punk station, now it's called. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome! I have invaded! I love it. Well then, folks, and on that perfect note, either they will reimburse me for that, or this is forever. Yup, this was an accepted name for a station, and you bet your asshole I took it! Now, I realized that for whatever reason, Frontier didn't use the same word filter as they do for the ship names and the chat, so this one slipped through. Then skip a few days later and Frontier support contacts me issuing an account warning, saying this whole big mess. Basically, some joyless dipshit snitched on the name, but no worries, I'm not mad. In fact, reading the Reddit comments easily reveal just how pathetic some people take their grown-up status, lacking any jovial bone in their body. Now, if you want to read the comments, I'll link the Reddit thread down below. But the real problem here is the Frontier's moderation of these names in the first place. Clearly, asshole is something that should not be allowed, but okay, that's just an oversight. Or was it? See, as we discovered, Frontier wants their Elite Dangerous to be... when creating content around Elite Dangerous, to refrain from using controversial subjects as joke material, which could be offensive to the wider community. This includes, but is not limited to, jokes about abortion, sexuality, gender, race, religion, etc. Okay, I can understand that, even if I disagree with it, but still, you need to moderate the naming and issue actual warnings and bans properly, and not just when somebody snitches. This lack of proactive action of moderation, frankly, is pathetic. And as I demonstrated in that funny skit, you can use some really interesting names for stations that are A-OK. Murder. Slaughter. So yeah, get your shit in order, Frontier. This is unacceptable, and that's me saying it. Then moving on to number 3, just as building systems can create gold rushes, this feature also has a potential to ruin them. Number 4, and this is one of the 2 really big issues with the feature as a whole. It's again, just more grinding, like Power Play 2.0. However, this time it's arguably the most boring type of grind. That trading grinding. The only way you can build a station is to bring in materials, and that minimum of 18,000 tons of cargo just to build the cheapest station is a boring job that frankly I would not be surprised if the BGS botters were not already abusing. And to put it in perspective, to build out one station it takes somewhere around 8 to 10 hours of non-stop hauling shit from point A to point B, and while I personally find trading cathartic, even I have to start rolling my eyes seeing the requisite amount of steel I need to bring just to get my cock emporium up and running. And with number 5 comes the other big problem of the system. Who the fuck designed it? The UI elements are so woefully lacking in any kind of information that making third-party tools, like fucking screenshots alone, necessary to do the colonization in the first place. Now let me explain. You just started your first construction on a small outpost. Okay. You open up a menu and look over the cargo that you need to deliver in order to build it. There's a lot of things. Okay, that's fair enough. But here's the problem. How the fuck are you supposed to find the station that sells all the shit you need? Yoink. Steel. Yoink. And then basically everything into the fucking polymers, except for the fact that I think... oh god damn it! Just simple quality of life. Did really nobody play this? And thought for a second that you need goddamn shopping list. Like seriously. Now, I know this is a bigger problem with overall trading information in-game and how the information is presented to the player, but fuck me sideways if it's not apparent with colonization. Hell, moreover, there is no shopping list in the game. So every time you arrive in a station, unless you have screenshot on your second monitor, which let's be frank, that everyone has, like a fucking retarded chimp, you need to go and open up the colonization menu again, which let me remind you is at least 3 pages deep and opens rather slowly, just to look over the list of things you need. You can't put a pin on certain commodities like materials, so unless you have perfect memory, your time and intelligence is being disrespected by the sheer fact that Elite Dangerous once again proves to be utterly incapable of providing the player with both the tools and the information to make a simple gameplay, like trading, possible in the first place. And honestly, looking at X4 in this regard is just so far ahead of Elite Dangerous, it's not even funny anymore. Oh, but don't worry, the stupidity of this does not end here either. The market links in your colony are so poorly designed and, more importantly, illustrated that I want to tear out the eyeballs whoever thought that this was sufficient UI/X for this mechanic. And then there's just the most retarded thing ever. Say, for example, you started the construction on several things, but forgot what type of buildings you are actually making. So you open up the menu to look them up and tell me, where can you tell what type of station are you building right now? How do you tell them apart? Here's a hint. The only way to recognize them is by this fucking icon only. This fucking icon. I'm lost for words. I've never seen such a half-assed effort for UI/X from Frontier, ever. And yes, even squadrons have better UI information, and that's saying something. And with number 6, we finish off the list of negatives with, again, more exploiters, botters, and poorly coded mechanics. So yeah, when this feature launched, there were already, assumedly, BGS botters who were speedrunning the colonization line of useless systems towards the center of the galaxy or wherever. And when Frontier realized it, they had to disable the feature after their first day of launch or so. But to really put the kibosh on just how half-assed the system is, remember, there is no delete or deconstruct button anywhere. And don't you dare tell me the colonization is released in some bizarre beta mode. You and me know it's a shitty excuse for naive players who believe that crap. So, in summary, yeah, colonization is a lot more mixed bag than Powerplay 2.0, and the stats as well as the public reception reflect it sadly. On the positives, it's all rewards with no penalties. Most impactfully, you get to name your own little corner of the galaxy and earn a little, but notable passive income, which only makes the system more thrilling to use, and I mean it. On the other hand, the negatives, well, the system is just more grinding again. Not only that, but more specifically hauling cargo kind of grinding, which puts off a big portion of the player base. And even when the player is still willing to try it out, there are less than useful tools, or rather the complete lack of tools to help you do the job in the first place. Not only incentivizing you, but outright forcing you to use the third-party tools, and no game should ever rely on its fans to make the game developers who are being paid for to make their own game playable in the first place. After all, Elite Dangerous I think can do better than Bethesda. Long since I've criticized Elite for the lack of in-game tools and design, especially for the information sharing like markets or simple station information. But it's more and more apparent and a total failure of Elite to not provide you with the basic information. You literally cannot play Elite without third-party tools, and now that's pathetic. And as for colonization itself, well, the lack of UI tools and functions like simple info screens are completely unacceptable. And again, pathetic result from a company that, I remind you, makes a living by making building and management simulator games. Still, at the end of the day, colonization is a pretty cool thing to have and makes the game more open to another type of a player, Bob the Builder. Now, even if TheYamiks utterly hates building mechanic in nearly all games, critically speaking, this is a really nice feature to have. Now, if only it wasn't half-assed and missing nearly all necessary support, like a fucking shopping list. So then, just like Powerplay, this is not a good feature. It's also not a bad one. And since you only get to reap rewards after your efforts, well, let's call colonization update nice. This would be great. Your mama. It actually allows it. Smegma. Oh no! Fucking okay. Okay. See how little sometimes people need to be fun.